Well, today's episode is going to be a little interesting. We continue with more on Stardom's year end tour 2022. We're in day two, and I believe they ended up going to Hamamatsu, where we have five matches. As you know, we're like close to the end of 2022. But also, we got MLW Fusion 159. Who knows what's going to happen? As you know, the mysterious attacker. We don't know who he is. We know the issues going on between both Duca and Hammerstone, and so on and so on. In Impact Wrestling, as you know, we have interesting developments as we head to Hard to Kill. But first things first, the Impact Tag Team titles will be on the line. Who knows what Josh Alexander is going to do while Bully Ray is still continue to be in his head. And of course, we got some news updates continuing with more on what's been going on with Mandy Rose, new information about Sasha Banks, and of course, um, we just Tokyo Sports has announced the winners for Best Tag Team. And of course, to end it all, we got some interesting developments more on the Unagi Sayaka Watch. As you know, she had her match teaming up with Rina Amakura from Colors, her ally. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that, but also something that was so funny regarding a staff member from Stardom. You guys will have to tell me what you guys think about it. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So let's begin with Stardom with day two of year end tour 2022. As you know, we're getting closer and closer to the end of 2022. It was a fantastic ride in All In Pro Wrestling, especially in Stardom. Now, our opening match, we have singles action. We have Tomoka Inaba versus Waka Tsukiyama. As you know, Waka continues to grow and grow, and of course, everybody expects her to get her first win. I know we all been waiting for it and anticipated it for who knows how long. I think since the whole thing with Sakurai making her cry and all that. But you know, Waka has the fighting spirit. All she needs to do is execute the perfect moment to pick up that win. But however, in this case, Tomoka Inaba was the one who executed that moment when she applied the one shot, one kill Tomoka kick. And blammo, 1, 2, 3, Inaba wins. Next up, we got stars Momokogo and Koguma versus Queen's Quest, Lady C, and Utami Ashita. Now, I have to say, one thing is that people need to understand. Do not play the bear game. You all know how Koguma is when it comes to being in the ring. She likes to antagonize people, not to mention force them to chase them outside the ring, you know. You know how fast Koguma is, even if you can outrun her or try to catch up to her like Sudi did last time. But fortunately, Lady C fell victim to that. Utami was trying to get her hands on her, but it did not work one way or the other. But unfortunately, it was not Koguma who took the fall. It was Momokogo who ended up on the torture rack bomb by Utami, giving, of course, Queen's Quest the win. Next up, we got Melt here. Natsupoi and Tam Nakano taking on the other members of Queen's Quest. We're talking about our current high-speed champion and the current white belt champion, Saya Kamitani. You know the history between these two teams, how they are. If you guys remember, it was Natsupoi who defeated Azumi for the high-speed belt last year, and it's kind of like deja vu. But also, keep in mind, we have Kamitani and Tam Nakano. Their history is deep. As you know, Kamitani was one time a student of Tam Nakano until she ended up with Queen's Quest. And don't forget, it was her who defeated Tam Nakano almost a year ago for the white belt. But keep in mind, this is where, of course, things get interesting. If either one has a pinfall, like let's say Kamitani or Azumi pin either Tam or Natsupoi, that gives them a guarantee, a possibility of a tag team title shot. Or is the opposite, either Poi can actually pin Kamitani or Tam can do the same thing. She gets a shot of the white belt. Or, very simple, if Natsupoi pins Azumi, she gets the high speed belt. But however, we all know that Kamitani and Azumi have title matches in Ryogoku on Dreams Quest. I mean, Dreams Queendom. So we'll see about that. But it was a fantastic match with a crazy way how it ended with a time limit draw. I felt maybe it was the right thing. So, but you can tell by the look of Kamitani and Azumi's eyes, would stop at nothing to obtain the Goddesses tag titles. Next up, we got stars Saya Ida, Azuki, and Mayu Iwatani taking on God's Eyes, Mirai, Amisori, and Suri. Now, there's nothing distinction about this particular match. However, we do know that Saya Ida and Mirai and Amisori will be involved in New Blood real soon. And everything was pretty well, but until it was Amisori who applied um, the spinning suplex onto Saya Ida to give her the win. I thought it was pretty impressive. However, this next match was a very interesting one. We have Oedo Tai consistent of Ruka, Natsuko Tora, Saki Kashima, Starlight Kid, and Momo Watanabe taking on all members of DDM, Tekla, Maya Sakurai, Himeka, Maika, and Julia. Now you know the determination. We have Ruka and Natsuko Tora are involved in a three-way match for number one contendership in for the Goddesses tag titles. However, on the opposite side, we do see Maika and Himeka, known as My Him, who also will be in that. But this is more of a preview about who will stand on top. And don't forget, we do have another team involved. That is the New Eras, Mirai and Amisori, but they're not in this match. But however, once again, it was Saki Kashima who picked up the win when she applied the Kishikasen onto my Sakurai, and Blammo is over. But in the post match, Natsuko Tora and told directly straight in the face of Himeka and Maika, telling them they never win anything. They weren't even, so they felt that they're more deserving than Himeka and Maika are, but they're not going to back down no matter what. But we do know the factors how this plays out. I mean, we know that Natsuko Tora and Ruka were dominant in Tag League, but they they lost their match to, of course, 7-Up members of the Neo Stardom Army. And we saw how also the same thing with Himai. They were also dominant, but they lost anyway. So that kind of sets the whole thing up. But uh but yeah. And don't forget, and also Starlight Kid asked Julia to send a direct message to Prominence, since they are going to be seeing them at Ryogoku for the art, this belt's being put on the line. But even though Julia doesn't have a direct connections with um, Prominence, because she doesn't talk to them, after, of course, we know their long history. So I think that's pretty much it. I think that's for Stardom. I think it's time for us to move on to the next segment, MLW Fusion 159. Okay, so let's continue with MLW with Fusion number 159. Open up with a interesting match from wrestlers I never heard of, but they were very impressive. And this is between Cosmos versus Star Rogers. These two are fantastic high flyers. You can definitely tell there was going to be a lot of spots in this particular match. However, whoever was going to walk on top, but it was in fact Star Rogers who in fact pulled off the win when he did a Spanish fly. I feel like that's like a simple move you can do, but not much of exciting. But they were both impressive high flyers. I mean, I've been a big fan of high flyers since I was young, and I felt that things don't change, but I know that they will grow out of it, try to find moves that would excite everyone. So, pretty good match. Now, on the medical update, what happened after last week's Hammerstone apparently went through a table, but he might have injured. Apparently, there was a hole right here on his chin, and he had 52 stitches. But he's okay. However, Induka claims that he won the night due to the fact that no scars or anything or injuries he had. He thinks that he's the one who walked out free. So that's how he's playing the game. But you know for a fact, Hammerstone is not going to let that slide. Now, the Samoan SWAT team, as you know, have been making headways. However, they do have the desire to obtain the tag team titles and make a name for themselves. However, last week we did saw that Jacob Fatu was on the verge of trying to cash in his ticket for a shot of the MLW World Heavyweight title, but he didn't do so. But I'm not sure if he's going to focus on helping Lance and Juicy to win the tag titles, and I think that's what he's playing at. Let them worried focus on that, but we'll see. Now, since Battle Riot, we witnessed Mads Kruger. He's right now did not like the fact that he's being, how do I say, criticized by Mance Warner, and he told him that he should have not come back to MLW, but we'll see what happens. Now, Mance Warner, he's a bit of a jokester, as you know. He's out in the forest going hunting, and then he runs into Micro Man, who's hunting butterflies. I thought it was a weird segment, but it was funny. So who knows what's going to lead between those two. Now, Lady Flamer, as you know, she is the current number one contender for the women's weight championship. It's no secret that she knows Taya Valkyrie completely, but she will do everything in her power to dethrone her. That is obvious. So we'll see when that day happens. Now, Bumaye Fight Club, as you know, it was revealed it was Alex Kane who stole the Opera Cup, and now Alex Kane feels that it's time for a change. That the Opera Cup is dead. That it's now the Bumaye Fight Club. That there will be no tournament one way or the other. He's right now disrespecting. But I have this distinct feeling as a fan that we're gonna see Davey Boy Smith and his cousins, the Billington Bulldogs, will make their way and declare war against the Bumaye Fight Club for disrespecting his family, disrespecting the family heirloom, and I think that's what's gonna set us apart. See how this is gonna play out. So I can't wait to see that moment. Now our main event is the National Openweight Championship between SB Kento and Davey Boy Smith. I thought it was a pretty hard-hitting match. SB Kento seems like he was about to make things his way, but you know Davey Richards, what he has learned, he's a student of the game himself. He knows exactly what to do, but he pulled off the ankle lock onto SB Kento and making him tap out, and right at the end, the respect between both of them is endlessly. However, he did state it. He's coming for the Opera Cup and he's going to reclaim it back. So hopefully, Alex Kane is well prepared. So we'll see what happens. But right in the end, Micro Man and Mance Warner continue the chase butterflies. Weird ending, but the entire time we did not see Caesar Duran. Weird, but interesting. I think that's pretty much it for MLW. It's time for our last review, and that's going to be, of course, Impact Wrestling. Okay, Impact Wrestling. As you know, we are in the road to Hard to Kill coming up next month. We opened up with Eddie Edwards versus Delirious. Now, keep in mind, Delirious was the one who called out Eddie Edwards, made this match happen. Now, this match was supposed to happen last week, but due to the 60-minute match that took place with Josh Alexander and Mike Bailey, it kind of forbidden that. But in this case, the match was interesting, but Edwards was the one who walked out as the winner. But once again, playing mind games, he decided to show respect to Delirious, but once again, being the punk that he is, decided to disrespect him by removing his mask. But once he was doing that, apparently here comes Jonathan Gresham, who hasn't forgotten. If you remember, it was Eddie Edwards when he first betrayed Impact and attacked Gresham. So I'm sure that Gresham is coming back for some payback for what transpired. But however, I there's been now telling that there is a possibility that Jonathan Gresham could be becoming part of the Impact roster. So that could be the possibility we could see that. So we just got to wait and see. Now, D'Amore and Alexander were in talks. Now, keep in mind, D'Amore was happy with the results, how it happened, even though it wasn't the results that Alexander wanted. But he's asking him for a favor. Just stay out of the match that Bully Ray was involved. And Tommy Dreamer comes out saying that, to apologize, saying he thought that Bully Ray has changed and all this other stuff, but Alexander's not buying it. He doesn't trust him due to the fact of their friendship. But the more can trust Dreamer, but it's not but Alexander's not the one. However, it's not the last time we see Dreamer. Bully Ray had his match against John Skyler, but that match ended in a pile driver, winning the match. But Tommy Dreamer wanted to give his what he has to say to Bully Ray, telling him that he thought he has changed. But Bully Ray decided while he was walking to say the certain things, like saying that he was the bigger star than him in every company he's ever been with, like WWE, ECW, and all that. And that kind of he not to mention Bully Ray's pushing his buttons, that sort of thing. So who knows what's going to happen between those two? We don't know if they'll be clashing somewhere down the line. Now, this was an interesting match. Now, there was an exclusive content that happened where Crazy Steve was giving his talks about Trey Miguel, but however, the major players, Brian Myers and Mike Cardona, did not want to hear that. They were pissed off knowing that they were banned from ringside after they attacked the tag match the week before. But the fun fact is, Crazy Steve said, "You guys do have a problem." And of course, Brian Myers realized who was behind him, and that was, of course, the Bull himself, Black Taurus. However, that match between major players and Decay did not go as well. Crazy Steve was attacked by Trey Miguel. The match went in favor of the major players because of what Trey Miguel did. It gave a weak spot for for the major players to attack Crazy Steve's neck and putting him in and out. So it's no secret there is the possibility that they will be getting tag titles in the near future. Now, our next segment, we have the contract signing, title versus career. Jordan Grace puts her title on the line against Mickie James. But however, as you all know, this is the last rodeo for Mickie James. If she doesn't win, she walks away. Now, when things were going calmly and peacefully, here comes Tasha Steelz, who thinks this thing is a sham. She felt that Mickie James should have gone home when she beat her not once but twice. So she thought that it should have been her, that she should have retired sooner. However, Mickie James did not back down. So the more decided it was best that they put Jordan Grace and Mickie James taking on Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans. So we'll see what happens next week on that. Now, for the past couple of weeks, we saw Mike Bailey getting under the skin, or supposedly by Kenny King. Mike Bailey told Gia Miller he knows that Kenny King is trying to get under his skin, but he's saying if he wants another match, all he had to do was ask. But he said that he's not going to let him get to him, and he's going to do things his way no matter what. Now, our next match, we have Alan Angels of the Design along with Khan and Diener taking on Sami Callihan. Now, Sammy's no slouch. He knows what happened last week. So, in the retrospective, he was well prepared. But he did put Alan Angels in the Cactus Driver 97, winning the match. But however, Diener sent Khan to do his bidding. But however, he's sending a message to Callahan that they're here to stay and that no matter what, the design is there. Now, it's been a while since we've seen Giselle Shaw coming out. She bumps into Deonna Purrazzo. Now, as you know, Deonna Purrazzo is not in good terms with her because of certain things that took place. But however, Chelsea Green is not coming back. But here's the thing: Deonna Purrazzo does have a tag team opportunity. So apparently, she's saying she doesn't want to put that to waste. So they decided to issue a challenge against the Death Dolls. And I think that one's going to be next week. Now, as you know how we always see in pro wrestling where the wrestlers are repackaged for new characters. Well, we're getting that with Taylor Wilde. She looks more like she's playing the role of a witch. I'm kind of curious about this, but we'll see how that plays out. Um, you know, like I said, I'm just curious. Now, our next match, we have Boo Pendergurger teaming up with I Believe in Joe Hendricks. So the match was against Johnny Swinger and Zicky Dice. Now the match was going smoothly until Moose shows up, tries to attack Joe Hendricks. Hendricks tried to reason with him, but Moose wasn't having it, leaving, of course, Boo Pendergurger all by himself. But it was no in vain. Gurger did manage to win the match all by himself when he did the gargoyle spiel onto, I believe he did it to Swinger, giving him the win. So it's kind of weird and bizarre, but it did. Now in the back, John Schuyler, who lost previously to Bully Ray, he bumps into another wrestler, and it seems like they're getting in the same page. So looks more like they're going to be forming a tag team. I forgot who this guy was, but yeah. Now Macklin does a video package. As you know, right now his one goal is mine is to try to get a title shot for the Impact World Championship. So we don't know when it happens. We know it could happen at any given time, but we will find out. Now our main event is the Impact World Tag Team titles between the Motor City Machine Guns versus the champions Heath and Rhino. Awesome match, incredible. You probably would have thought this match would have fallen in favor of Heath and Rhino, but no, somehow Chris Sabin was able to outsmart Rhino and become tag team champions. So that means the Motor City Machine Guns are tag team champions of two different promotions, Impact and New Japan Strong, because they are the current Strong Openweight tag team champions. So voila. So we have the tag team champions, but I do have the distinct feeling that one way or another, the major players will do whatever it takes to obtain those titles once the timing is fitting for them. So we'll just pay attention to what happens next week. And I think that's pretty much it right now with Impact Wrestling. It's time for news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. Now, as you know, we continue to talk more about the developments of Mandy Rose with the shocking development that she was released from the company with WWE due to explicit content that was leaked out. Now, this was reported by the Wrestling Observer, According to them, they felt that she went out of line and they had no other choice but to fire her. So this was reported by Matt Bloom, who reported this to Shawn Michaels, and of course the decision was made to strip her of the title. So they had no other choice but to move forward without her, despite what just happened. Now, I did mention that they did stated that she is welcome back at any point, but I'm only assuming as soon as she cuts the exclusive content. However, this is what Mickey James had. I mean, Mandy Rose said. She put out a statement on her social media. Let me pull it out real quick on this. Here it is. This is what she had to say. Hi guys. Thanks for all the messages. I am overwhelmed with all the love and support from you. Don't worry, the page is still active. Mandy Rose. So basically, she's gonna continue doing what she was doing, but we don't know if there's any up. We don't know if she's planning to return to WWE or just be done with it. Still unclear, but we'll see what happens in the near future. So, like the old saying goes, never say never. Now, interesting developments has come across. As you know, we're getting closer and closer to the annual Jericho Cruise, and this was announced for a tag match that's taking place. We got Jerichohausen teaming up to take on the Guns. That's right, Jericho and Danhausen will be teaming up to take on Ace Austin and Colton. But however, certain tweets just popped up, and from Ace, I mean, Aust, from Austin Gunn, this is what he had to say. I got off the phone with Chris Jericho and we discussed the rules that implemented the on the four-leaf clover. 1. There will be no ass boy chants, slurs, or remarks allowed on the boat. If you fail to oblige, Jericho and his security team will throw you overboard. Thank you. However, Danhausen replied that tweet and said this. Danhausen just got off the phone with Chris Jericho. He said you told a lie to the internet. The ass boy chants are encouraged heavily, and you must come out to your custom ass boy theme music. Danhausen is gifted to you. So basically, the ass boy is trying to get away with a lie. So I thought it was funny. It was so great. I have to say, Danhausen just makes me laugh and always makes my day. Now, match has been announced for the upcoming House of Glory Revelations. We have Carlos Ramirez taking on one called Manders. That's going to be a heavy-hitting match. Oh, excuse me. As you know, I mentioned Kenta will be in the match for Combat Zone Wrestling. It's already announced for his opponent. His opponent is Griffin McCoy. Uh, so we'll see how that match goes. Next update. As you know, I mentioned about the Pro Wrestling Guerrillas Battle of Los Angeles. This is what they put out for the card. We have Bandito versus Black Taurus versus Hijo Del Vikingo. Tyrus Alexander versus Daniel Garcia. Michael Oku versus Konosuke Takeshita. Jordan Grace versus Jonathan Gresham. Ooh, that's going to be interesting. Uh, Someone's going to sleep in the couch tonight. Aramis versus Shun Skywalker. Alex Shelley versus Masha Slamovich. SB Kento versus Leo Rush. Latigo versus Commander. Interesting matchup. Mike Bailey is involved, but however, he will miss out on night one, so he will participate in night two. West Coast Pro has announced for certain things for their upcoming event on January 6th. Lee Moriarty makes his return to West Coast Pro, and then of course there's going to be an interesting match. West Coast Pro's very own conglomerate will take on the Invaders, and that is Team Filthy. That is something that's going to be interesting to watch. Golden State Pro Wrestling has announced they're coming back, on which I mentioned. They're announcing who will be making their return, and they just announced Bali and Aki from Got to Move and the current Super Asian champion will be returning as well. Now, Lucha Blog has announced that, as you know, Hijo Del Vikingo is no longer allowed to be streamed thanks to AAA Lucha Libre. But they did stated that Pro Wrestling Guerrilla's DVDs are okay. Basically, not live streaming, so they don't want no live streaming of him whatsoever. Now, once again, as you know, this Japanese promotion called P.P.P Tokyo, which will do their next event, Mekya, that is going to be in Osaka, Japan on the 15th of 2023 of January. They announced Chanyoto will be teaming up with Ichika Miyabi. They take on Surumi Natsu, but also once again, she gets an ex partner. We don't know who that could be. I know many people thought it was going to be Unagi Sayaka, but anything could possibly happen. Once again, we're getting TAKA Taichi Mania again. This is going to happen real soon later on this month on the 19th. Despy and Archer will be teaming up in a special tag team to take on guys from the DDT promotion, Daisuke Suzuki and MJ Polly of Damnation TA. Finally, our GCW update, the Till Infinity event that takes place on the 30th of December. We're going to have the GCW tag team titles on the line. We got the Macizos taking on Akira and Masha Slamovich. If you guys know this, those two are a couple. This is going to be interesting to see. Now, finally, as you know, Tokyo Sports has announced certain winners to take place. Amongst them is the best tag team, and they announced that Great-O-Khan and Jeff Cobb are, in fact, won the best tag team by 9 points. However, there's many fans that disagree. They believe that Meltier should have been the ones that won. Um, there's been a lot of talk about this all over social media. Um, some people are saying that Tokyo Sports are being discriminating with women, as they could have been the first ever um, women's tag team in to win this award. That is something they were aiming for. Even Taichi's not happy about this. He even mentioned this on Twitter. I knew he was going to get pissed. Tam, on the other hand, tweeted out saying that once again she's frustrated. As you know, she hates second place. This is the second time this year she played out that way. As you know, she was runner up at the 5-star Grand Prix. But Natsupoi is playing the positive one here. She's saying, let's make 2023 our revolution. So she wants to continue this revolution no matter what. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did win 2023. So we'll see what happens. And I think that's pretty much it. So let's move on to for our last thing, the Unagi Sayaka Watch. Okay, welcome to our news updates. Now, this one, I'm sure this is going to piss off the WWE fans. I want to apologize in advance. This is what they're reporting, and I'm not like saying I'm happy about it, but it is interesting what's been going on. As you know, Sasha Banks, there's been talk about her that she could potentially show up in New Japan Pro Wrestling at January 4th at the Tokyo Dome. It was reported that she negotiated her WWE departures more like she wanted out. It looks like it's going to happen, so there is a deal with her in New Japan Pro Wrestling. But however, there is potential talks for her to have a deal with AEW. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Why would she want to go with AEW? Think about it. WWE never allows their talent to do other things outside of WWE. Like, they want you to just stay with WWE to do their own things. And I think that's the whole thing. It does give her the opportunity to involve like modeling bookings that she's been doing, convention center, that sort of thing. So that is something that's been said. Now moving on, Wrestling Revolver has announced for another signing for the a night at the Moxbury, which takes place on the 2nd of February. Billy Starks will be involved, and I'm so excited. Now, our final updates, this is mostly from the local stuff. If I have any viewers out there who are from San Diego, you may have heard what's going on. Those who don't, um, uh, you probably will be surprised, shocked, however you want to call it. The wrestling school known as Level Up has put out a tweet put on the social media saying that they're no longer associated with Hunter Freeman. They're not accepting any comments at this time. Now, I don't know what's been going on with Level Up. I haven't been seeing any of their shows recently. Hunter Freeman's was a guy that I talked to in the prior before the pandemic. Recently, we know he's been participating with GCW, JCW, and other promotions. I don't know if there's been friction between Hunter Freeman and the guys from Level Up, so I'm not sure about that. So I just gotta wait and see whatever information I can get. Um, I'm not sure if I want to put that because I don't want to stir things up. Now our next one, if you guys remember, Dirty Ron McDonald, also known as Mikey Gordon, who's the promoter of Fist Combat. It was later announced by him on his social media that all charges against him were dropped and dismissed. And they said that it only took 5 minutes for the DA and the judge to do so. So whatever, I don't know how certain people who are not fans of him feel about this. I'm sure fans who love the guy are happy. So we'll go see what happens. But he did stated that vacation's over. Now it's time to get back to work. So it looks more like he's trying to get Fist Combat back on the ground before he got arrested. I'm not sure what his wife would say, but I'm sure she's gonna try to keep this private, try to stay calm with everything. And I think that's pretty much it. And let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up for our next episode, number 924. As we speak, we already going to be starting with New Blood 6, the latest Stardom show where the starters will be taking the page. I'm so excited for that. I think we also got AEW Rampage and, of course, NXT Level Up. If there's anything else, I will be doing that. Also, some news updates if it's possible. But after this episode, there's going to be a special episode. I was planning to do this on this one, but I thought I did not want to take too much time. So I'll do that as a DWZ special episode. So stand by for that one, and we'll be fine for now. So I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you do so. Goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.